Hey everybody, it's Tuesday.
And welcome to this week's edition of Hook, Line, and Striker.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we are excited to be here tonight. So welcome to everybody at home. If you have comments, if you have questions, if you have anything along the way, certainly drop that in the comment section. We'd love to get to
this time.
Our screen looks different, and you can choose to have the comments up or not. And I always tell Josh to click on it. So whatever. But leave your comments there. We'd love to chat with you guys and, hear how fishing is going in your area. So also let us know where you guys are at, what water temps are like, and, are fish spawning yet? Because we are at this weird 50-degree mark by us, and fish are kind of in limbo.
Yeah, we went out and we actually had our first kind of sustained mid-50s, so the crappies are going up. We found a bunch of silver dollar crappies, and by a bunch I mean like 1 million, out in like 20 feet of water. So the big ones are doing their thing, the little ones are hiding out in the deep, and I'm excited for it to be Friday.
But, with that, conditions are changing. We had a bunch of rain, we had a little bit of sun coming, and
Frost this week.
Yeah, that's true. But that is all going to change the water conditions. So again, let us know where you're watching from, what your water is like, and what the fish are doing, because I'm interested in that. And without further ado, let's keep talking fishing. So let's bring out our guest. So Matt Bain, welcome to the show.
What's up, dude?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
And welcome. Glad to have you here. Glad to have your dog here. Don't worry, ours will bark at some point too.
Yeah, they're both crazy.
That's so funny. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm born and raised in central New York. Sorry about the dogs. Unreal. They've been quiet all day.
That's what always happens as soon as we go live. The dogs start barking.
Don't worry, a cat's gonna come up and attack him.
They're so dumb.
Man's best friend, yes.
Yeah, just not camera friendly. So I'm born and raised in Syracuse, New York. Grew up with a cottage up by Kingston, Ontario. So I've pretty much been around water my entire life, fished my entire life, water skied, like everything outdoors kind of thing. So got into the pro staffing about 5 or 6 years ago. And I've always been like big on social media and love as long as it's been around. So I'm kind of like hooked in the crackhead, just typing away all the time on my phone. So that's how I got started.
That's awesome. And, New York is really far from where we are at in Wisconsin. But I know that we have quite a few people that are local to that area. And, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about fishing there. What do you love to fish for?
So I do a lot of walleye fishing in New York. And then when I'm up at my cottage, I do some lake trout fishing. So here, mostly ice fishing is my go-to. I do a lot of open water, but my passion's ice fishing.
That's awesome. And I got to say, to be honest, this last weekend, I had kind of a rough weekend fishing. So, spawn is coming, and that's always kind of a crazy time for fishing, but we're not quite there yet, and it was tough. So, it had me really wishing for ice.
Yeah, we had a very short season this year. I don't think we got ice till almost end of January, and we ice out in like mid-March. So it was a quick season this year.
Oh my goodness. So only really 2 or 3 months. So, how do you choose where to fish when you have such limited time?
So I mostly fish what's called Oneida Lake, which is probably 15 minutes from my house. It's part of the Finger Lakes chain that we have out here. And it's a really good. It's actually good for. It's got big bass in it. It's got a lot of walleyes. There's some good spots for pan fishing. And then a little bit north of that, we have Chameau Bay, which is on Lake Ontario, which has just trophy walleyes. So those are my go-tos normally.
That's awesome. When you have some really tried and true spots, that's always, great places to start with.
Yeah.
With that, we have a few people checking in, saying hello to you. So, Justin, welcome for being here. If you have any awesome stories about Matt, feel free to share them at any point.
Shut up, Justin.
Oh gosh. But being in New York, you were telling us actually just before we were on the show that you're allowed to have 7 lines out there.
For ice fishing, 7 lines. Yeah, it's so we do a lot of JT snare rods, and we'll run them out in basically a minefield out there for everything from walleyes to perch to panfish. And then we also do a lot of jigging while we're sitting there waiting for the snares to go to fire. So it's a whole new world out here.
Yeah. Well, but I love that though, because we just actually got into those snare rods this past year. Just the action on that rod really was effective for fishing. So I can't imagine having a few of them kind of spread out. But I got to ask, what is your favorite rod holder for that? Because I tried a few, but I never settled on one.
Well, I used a GT one. It was made for it, and I like it because it collapses flat. That seems to be the winner. I've tried a couple of them, but that seems to be the easiest one that I found.
Well, fair enough. That's yeah, absolutely. And then the rest of the year when it is not ice fishing, I mean, do you use that time to scout for ice or not really?
Not really. I'm constantly on the go. So I basically fish a few spots, and it's just constant assaulting the same spots over and over again because I'm so limited with time during the summertime.
Yeah. So. But I think one of the really fun things about you is that you're really involved in social media. And so the cool thing is that you're really involved even, you said that you travel a lot, but I think even more than that, social media kind of opens that world, and you do a lot of, information sharing even in other locations.
Yeah, so I travel about 15 to 20 times a year on a normal year. So I'm all over. We filmed just the past couple of years in Winnipeg, Cascade, obviously, all over Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Florida. It's been all over. It's crazy. I love it, but it's a lot sometimes.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, that's something that I love hearing a lot about, because there's a lot of people out there interested in, doing social media for fishing or, getting involved in that. But I think sometimes people don't realize all of what that entails. So, I mean, can you share a little bit about that?
So on a usual trip, I'm usually packing about 6 bags of between camera gear, lights, sound. Then you have to get your clothes. So, I'm outside filming. It's like 40 below zero sometimes, so I need to be warm. So I'm packing my climate suits, boots, gloves, and then multiple under layers, because it's sometimes it's brutal. I was in Red 2 years ago, and it was about 30 below zero, and I held the camera outdoors for 8 hours straight.
Oh, that's really rough on the equipment.
It's rough on the equipment. Lenses break, and it's brutal. But
maybe that's a funny testament though, because my reaction was that's rough on the equipment, because no offense, but I didn't even stop once to consider you out in those, because you were talking about being out in something like a climate suit. So no offense, but I guess I just assumed I didn't have to worry about you.
I'll tell you, it's 30 degrees, 30 below zero is painful. Most people won't be out there for more than 15 minutes walking out to a spot or something, and then they're inside and warmed up. Right. I've had days out there where I was filming with like Dylan Mackey and Max Wilson a couple years ago, and it was blowing so hard. I took the cover for one of the shelters and put it over my back just to stop the wind, because it was so cold I couldn't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the climate suit is awesome. It saved me a lot of times. It actually saved my life once. So,
I mean, do you care to share about that? That's like I'm interested in that statement.
So it was, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was up on a lake in Canada, and we were just looking for Lakers all over the place. And there's a dam opened, and it chewed the ice away pretty quickly. And I ended up going through with my sled. I had to walk a few miles to safety. So it's pretty touch and go when you're soaking wet. Got to get out of the ice. The ice is breaking while you're trying to get out, and then you're walking. I think it was about 1.5 miles or so to my friends saved me pretty much because I collapsed right at the doorway. So it was pretty scary.
Yeah, I experienced going through once myself, and it was not nearly that dramatic. So, the thing that I noticed, though, in my experience that I didn't expect or I didn't hear enough from people is how instantly freezing cold like all of that water becomes. And I actually was taking a video at the time of like fish, and it's a crazy story, and you can hear even on the video because the video never stopped when I went in, and like even I like gasp, and it wasn't, I'm a good swimmer. Actually I didn't have a float suit at that time, but it was pretty shallow water. But that amazing amount of cold that you rush into is something that I hope not many people have to experience.
Mm-hmm. So I was in 60 feet of water. So I went in and I tried jumping off my sled to get to like good ice and missed. So I went under completely, and then water went down my suit, and it felt like I got punched in the stomach. It totally knocked the air out of me. And I remember I finally got to like almost safety, and I saw like a car driving by, and I was like trying to scream for help. I couldn't even get anything out. But the amazing part about those suits is how well you float. It's pretty amazing. Like your knees come straight up, and then you're kind of sitting like in a sitting position, and you're just bobbing.
So the age-old myth that I hear all the time on Facebook or social media outlets is, if you wear only bibs, which hopefully in that case, you had a jacket on too, but if you wear just bibs, are you going to float upside down?
I don't think you would. No. Yeah, I think you pop up even with the bibs. I had a jacket on.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like 20 below zero that day, so I was fully dressed. I do remember that the suit got very stiff after when it was frozen. So,
that's actually the other thing that I was going to bring up. You made some really good points about, that cold catches your breath and that sometimes you almost can't even talk after that. But that's the other thing that I didn't expect is how instantly you start to freeze even once you're out. So I think so many people will think about, as long as I have my ice picks, as long as I have my float suit, I can get out and no problem. And, you occasionally hear people, going in up to their knees, oh, I still went fishing. And it's like, as long as you're being safe, as long as you're being warm, that's up to you. But, I never, in my experience also, I just could not believe I was not far from the parking lot. Like I barely had far to walk at all. And by the time I got to our car, and I actually luckily had a change of clothes there, like I was already freezing on the exterior, and even just taking those clothes off was amazingly difficult. I mean, that's something that just normally shouldn't be. And it was just such an experience. So I can't imagine having to walk all like you did.
I was like, my core was warm. It was, my feet were freezing. I remember it was like they taking baby steps, like for 1.5 miles. And I remember like after a while, it felt like I was stepping on needles. Oh. So it was pretty bad. I had frostbite on my hands and my feet. So yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah, I'm reading through a few comments up here in our comment section. So Garrett was asking if you could remind us which lake you were on in Canada.
I was on Devil's Lake.
We have Jeannie here. Share your story often, Matt. So that's really awesome. You always hate to hear about a terrible situation or something, that could have ended way worse. We're super glad to have you here today. But sharing that for others to hear about, hopefully somebody takes that advice or takes that experience and learns from it. So keep sharing that, Jeannie. That's awesome. Jacob Rogers looks like he went through the ice. No worries. He had on striker gear. He got out, went fishing at a new spot in the same gear. Great stuff. So, Matt, you're talking about your core was warm. Jacob, sounds like your core must have been warm. I prefer something dry, but if that's what you're up to, I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone back out. I collapsed, and I came to, I think, like 15, 20 minutes later. And thank God I got to my friend's house because I would have been in trouble. I don't think I could have gone much more. It was a tough day. But it took me about a good couple of weeks to finally to get over that, to feel comfortable again on the ice.
Oh, I bet.
Well, but I think that's the thing about it. Like nobody, like you should never like get over that, because that's an experience that's led you in your life to, where you are. And so for somebody like you to be able to speak freely about that, I think that's a huge piece of that. It's not about getting over it. It's about, sharing that with other people. So hopefully that's prevented in the future. We have a lot of people out there that think that, something like that'll never happen to them. And until it does, it's amazing to think about or believe. So, to be one of those people and speak out about that, I think is super, super worth it.
Mm-hmm. I'm still a guy who sends it though, as soon as there's ice. So. Yeah. I'm always the guy that's like, oh, it's safe. I'm out there. Don't worry.
Well, and as long as you're prepared, you have your float gear, your float gear, you have your ice picks. If you, tell people where you are at, because that's the other thing in your story.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have been stuck in a situation where you couldn't, get anywhere else, you can't just rely on somebody else knowing where you were or somebody finding you, because especially in winter, that window closes pretty fast. So that's a terrible thing to talk about, but it certainly could happen.
I didn't even have a cell phone at the time because my cell phone went down with all my gear. Like when I say I lost everything, I had everything attached to my snowmobile, like my rods, auger, flashers, everything. It was crazy. And I got all of it back because the salvage crew dove down and got everything for me. But yeah, it was crazy.
That is really crazy. Well, and even that in itself is a whole process to go through. I think people don't realize all what goes into, salvaging stuff out of a lake. And I've even heard that there's sometimes time constraints on how much time you have to get it out. So that's even another added element.
So I heard that too. And then I called that afternoon. I called the police department up there and told them, I'm like, my sled's in. I've already called my insurance company. They're gonna get a salvage crew out there and they're gonna take care of it. And they're like, okay, call us when it's out. I'm like, well, okay. So I called them 3 days later because I had to drive back up to get my snowmobile to bring it back to the States. And I called them. I'm like, yeah, so it's all out. They're like, great, thanks. And they just hung up.
Yeah, I think that actually differs from state to state. So out of the country, I'm not sure what different providences would have for that, but I know, here in Wisconsin, we do usually have a set amount of time, but if you are understanding of the wardens, they're usually understanding of you and they'll give you a break,
I was kind of surprised that none of the fluids escaped out of the sled. It was pretty clean.
That's actually pretty awesome.
And actually my flasher even worked when it came back up, which shocked me. It turned right on.
It
was down
crazy.
for 3 days. I'm like, this is never going to work again.
So, what kind of snowmobile did you have then?
It was, what was it? It was a Ski-Doo touring or some one of those utility sleds back then.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then do you remember what kind of graph you had?
So I had a Lowrance on my dash and I had an RT9 and they both worked. So
that's
it was the first year of the RT9 and it came back up working.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. That's a huge testament to that product is durability. And people always want to know about that because, hopefully they don't experience it going in or anything like that. But it's, as far as wetness, it's amazing how much water is in ice fishing for being so cold, so to have different products that make it through all that. That's what
it was. So I had an Ion, the first gen Ions, and I called them up and the thing, the battery sounded like there's popcorn in it. And I was like, this is dead. And so I called them up, not expecting anything. And they're like, mail it in. If that's crazy, that story. And they replaced it for free. I'm like, wow.
That is awesome.
Really cool.
Still to this day, I'm an Ion user and they're a great company.
Well, that's fabulous. That's awesome.
So.
Looking back to the comments here, we have Jacob mentioning, we had talked about him going in and then still going fishing. He's mentioning it was in the dark. So, add flashlight and headlamps to your safety gear, because absolutely that's most important. It's great that we can sit here and kind of like chuckle because you're okay. And I'm glad that it worked out and you still went fishing. But again, there's a lot of people who have a totally different fate. So again, being prepared all across, having snow, a snowmobile, any kind of vehicle out there, have lights on that too, because,
someone did one.
Dave is who did that. You're exactly right. Thank you. So shout out to Dave, because he has some really great videos of jumping in and not floating upside down.
Was that Jeremy Amperson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my roommate for the St. Paulo show and Fargo shows. So, we have some fun times out there during those 2 weeks.
Oh, I bet. We've always heard about Fargo. We haven't made it out there yet.
Fargo is it's crazy. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like all the staffers just let loose for 2 days.
Well, and that is the fun thing about the shows and the expos, that you get to go and you get to meet everybody. So whether you see them, out and about the town after, or if it is, during the shows, to be able to sit and talk fishing, that's a really great time. And I'm kind of hoping that goes this year. So
yeah, I missed a show. So that was one of the things I missed from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are just all making me laugh. Jeannie, do you pack a whistle? Yeah, that's a really, most people would say no. Okay, here's the thing about that. I have like a backpack with me that I put like all the things that you're supposed to put. But here's my thought. If I'm going down somewhere, I'm not going to be able to reach for my backpack, much less to get out my whistle. So Jeannie, yes, I have it through, but it never sits in my pocket. So I guess that's worthless.
I have probably everything you could think of, and I don't have a whistle. Your backpacks don't float, actually. Be shocking enough.
Hey, if you have
if you see how many
case, they do
Ziploc bags she has in her.
Oh yeah, they probably bob like a slip bobber.
Right.
Oh gosh. Jeremy, shout out to sushi. No idea what that is, but love the fish part of that. So we'll see. What else is going on? Just thankful that my homie is still here is what you're saying. So that's a funny comment, but to any of you who have ever gone in, that's something, we are thankful that we are all here. So that's thank you for your comments. I'm loving it. Kind of switching tracks here, but still talking a little bit about ice. When we do talk about bibs and not floating upside down and all of that good stuff, you had mentioned some base layers before. And I'm interested because everyone does base layers a little bit different. So what is your take?
So I've got the Striker base layers I swear by. And then I usually put the Unreal Apex sweatpants over that. And then just Strikers, the climate suit after that. Okay,
nice. So super mobile, very, very comfortable situation. That's great.
Yeah, I fish like I'm sitting in front of my TV kind of thing. So I'm totally as comfortable as possible. So I usually have I usually have a Striker hoodie or JT hoodie or something underneath it. So.
Yeah, I do really love some of the, especially the Striker hoodies, because they have that. I mean, is it officially a weatherproof layer? Like, we probably cannot call it that because it probably actually isn't. But I know that if I've gone out, even in like a pretty hard mist, that's something that does kind of help protect me. So I actually really do like that. And
those hoodies are awesome. I think I've got like 50 pairs of them. It's crazy how many pairs I have. My girlfriend just constantly makes fun of me for how many I have. And she's stealing them. Every time she goes home, she's got one with her. So.
That's funny. The other thing that I am really loving, though, is using some, not all of it, but some of the summer line as the base layers for winter, because one of the greatest things about, or one of the things that really kind of crosses over is that in both situations, you're looking for something that's moisture wicking. So, have something like the Alpha Burr hoodies. That's really, really awesome this year. I can't wait to use them in summer. It is a cooling material. So probably not what I personally choose for ice season. But is that actually a low tide hoodie that you're wearing right now?
It is. I love them. I just got them and they're so awesome. The best part about them is the sunglass cleaning
Yeah.
part. Right. What a great idea. Why did it take so long to think of that one?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true. I got to admit something super embarrassing. I was in the boat this past weekend and I broke my favorite fishing rod. I was like being so careful, and it just broke. And so honestly, I had a tear on my glass, but I had on that hoodie, and I was glad that I can clean it and not at least have smudged glasses at least after that too.
I've been lucky. Over all the years I fished, I think I've only broke like 2 rods in my entire life. I don't know how I do it because I break everything. If I look at it, it just breaks. So it's pretty amazing.
In Emily's defense, we're trying to stuff it into a gunnel storage locker with about 10 other rods, and it's all ultralight rods. So it was bound to happen eventually.
At least you didn't pull a Donnie and rotate the seat and snap a bunch of JTXs.
Nope, definitely wasn't that.
Is that the same year that he went through 20 trolling motors? Because shout out to Donnie that we're talking about you online.
He's awesome. He just explodes and it's so fun. I don't know what, like, he is like, if all the guides, he's like one of the best guides. I would highly recommend going out with him. He's so much fun. I went out, brought some friends out. He's just like throwing walleyes down their shirts.
That's really funny. He does post a lot of really, unique pictures. A lot of times some big fish pictures. So if you're interested in that, but there's a lot of personality that goes through that, and really a fun person to watch on social media.
Yeah, he definitely is. So he's with Rainy Days Guide Service. So I follow those guys because you're going to see some huge fish coming from them.
Yeah, I did tell him though that I have to be really careful to not ever look at Facebook at work, because if his pictures pop up on my newsfeed, it makes me want to leave that day.
It's brutal, especially like in the fall and in the spring when they're on doing that river bites. It's insane. If anybody's never done that, you've got to do it at least once. It's so much fun. If you hit it right, you're gonna break your personal. My personal best is from the Rainy River spring trip.
Yeah.
So
we're looking forward to a crappie trip up there eventually.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So besides the all the fishing and stuff, and you said you do your traveling. So what are you doing when you're not doing the fishing thing? Like, what's your other jobs?
So my real job is I'm a landscape designer, and then I also started a company 3 years ago. It's a production company. So we build websites for companies, photograph products like you see back there. What else do we do? We build social media content for like JT, Striker, Markham, Otter, range systems. So a lot of fishing and hunting companies.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun. So what do you have going on behind you there? So
that's the brand new JTX from JT. That's not really, it's sort of released, but it's kind of like a lowdown. So it's a they're killing me. The 7.9 JTX medium light, and it's the best rod the GT makes. I think I haven't fished with it yet, but I want to. As soon as it comes down from there, it's going in my boat. They're not getting that back.
They're not getting. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So, do you have a specific reel that you're going to put on it?
I'll probably use a Daiwa. I'm big into Fugos and the Tulas the past couple of years. I think I've used them for 3 years now, and I've never even done anything bad to them. Usually I destroy reels.
That's yeah.
I'm pretty rough on stuff.
That's funny. Yeah, well, that happens, when you catch so many big fish.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I try.
Well, that's what we all got to do out there. So that's what it's all about. So, what does fishing look like out there for you guys right now?
So walleye season just opened up last week. Obviously they're shallow. Trolling has been pretty popular. last week, and I know some J reps were doing well too. But it's still early. A few more weeks, they'll be popping pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait for that. And you've been talking about all the rain that you guys were having. Man, that definitely affects fishing conditions. So
it's
once
crazy.
This nicer weather pushes your way, hopefully that'll get it going.
Somehow Seattle relocated to Syracuse. I can't figure it out. It's nuts.
Well, it's been crazy because at least here we had a huge warm up early in the season, and everyone got a taste of it, and plants started growing and fish started moving, and then it all stopped. And so, yeah, I think that's what makes everyone extra anxious this year. So.
Yeah, my dogs have no idea what's going on. They're shedding, and then they're stop shedding, and they're a disaster.
That's really funny. A few more people checking in here. Andy, the man, the myth, the Matt Bain.
Dude, that dude catches fish. Holy cow. I filmed with him, was it last March or something, right before the shutdowns happened, and holy cow, he's awesome. He's on Chequamegon Bay, and just pounds big fish. He's just an animal.
That's really fun. I'm trying to see a little smiley face. Yeah. I'm trying to see in your profile picture that pops up, but it's this big on my screen here. But I can even tell in that tiny little picture that there's a big fish in there. So I'm definitely going to check that out later.
Yeah. Follow Andy. He's the big fish man.
That's a great nickname. It's hard not to want to follow somebody like that. As far as somebody who knows social media, are there other people in your mind that stick out? There's a lot of people out there that are craved for content. So are there others that are really fun to follow?
Chris Granard is probably one of the best, I think, out there in the business. So I've learned a lot from him over the years. Joe Bricko is an awesome angler. And he owns JT Rod. So, follow him for some content. Donnie, obviously. Who else am I missing here? Joel Nelson.
Well, and what's going to happen is as soon as we end this video, and then because I put you on the spot for that, so 10 minutes from now you're going to think of 100 more.
I'm probably getting text message right now. People dude, say my name.
Yeah, I thought we were friends, man. But there are so many good ones out there. But the other thing is I know that you're really good at sharing that content when it comes across.
Yeah, I am. Another guy is my AIM partner, obviously, is Jake Hendrickson. And he's awesome to follow because he makes his own plastics and jigging wraps.
Oh, that's always a lot of fun. Josh and I are definitely DIYers. So to see other people that are, doing their own stuff and how they're catching fish, that's always something I'm super interested in.
Yeah. DH Customs, that guy's awesome. He paints some awesome stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So, what's coming up for you in your summer or even next ice season? What are you looking forward to here?
ICAST. I love ICAST. I'm a sort of techie that place is just it's like toyland for me. So we'll be down there, and I think we're gonna fish and maybe do some filming after ICAST. I've got some shoots for range systems coming up for some new ranges that they're installing. What else do I have? We're gonna bring back GT TV, which we took a year off because of COVID. So that'll be coming. So there'll be some new episodes coming out for that. We already filmed one for this fall. Other than that, just having a good time.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, we're trying to get somebody to bring us to ICAST, but
one of these years we're just gonna show up and then hope they let us
come down with us.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, we want to.
It's super fun. How can you not checking out all the new toys?
Well, and that's the pinnacle for us, right? Because we're the people that want to go and interview everybody at ICAST, and so that's
that I did it one year. Jesus, I did it one year when my first year there, and it was so much fun. It was the year that Markham had a booth down there, and there were a couple other Striker had a booth down there that year too, and so it was so much fun to get some content like that.
Yeah,
that is. Yeah, that is really super exciting. We have a few people checking into the comments that are putting themselves out there if you want to follow them. So super exciting. I know that you had mentioned a few popping up more there. Andy, if you're saying tell me more, if that's about iCast, then we have to wait until it gets here because that is really exciting, but it's not here yet. So remind us, is that in July?
Yeah, end of July. I think it's the 27th or something like that. It's for 3 days long.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And I think last year they did, some social media involvement because of COVID and all of that. And so I think I heard this year that there might be a little bit of that again. Don't quote me on it, but if you are interested in learning about, all those new products, the things coming out, go and check their website because I'm sure that information is there.
Yeah, and definitely pay attention to social media that weekend because you'll see a pile of content coming from filmers and bloggers and all that.
Yeah. Oh, Andy, somebody needs a milk bone. If I gave my dog a milk bone every time they barked, I would be broke from buying milk bones. So I just tried to take her fishing instead. That's funny. Awesome. Well, as far as I guess I was going to, kind of wrap up a little bit, but do you have anything else that you were dying to share while you were here?
I don't know. We've pretty much covered it.
No, that's okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just didn't want to cut you off either.
No,
perfect. So, we were talking about iCast. We were talking about different products. We were talking about people. And you do a really good job sharing that and a bunch of your own stuff. So how do people follow you?
I am on Instagram. I'm FishBoyFishes. I'm obviously Matt Bain on Facebook. YouTube, you can follow me through the JT page. Most of that content is either I'm filming or editing. My company is MBO Productions, and it's on Facebook. That's about it.
Awesome.
Very awesome.
We are looking forward to shows and expos this year because we're looking forward to seeing you there. So you were talking about St. Paul earlier, and I cannot wait. I'm counting down the days.
Yeah, I'll probably be at all of them that are going between JT and Striker. So you'll see me at all of them pretty much.
Awesome.
Fabulous. Well, I can't wait for that. And in the meantime, we'll follow you on social media and see what's going on. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. And to the people at home, thank you guys as well for joining us. Always an interesting conversation here. And I love seeing what you guys have to add to it. So this was a great one. Can't wait to see you on next week's episode of Hook, Line, and Striker.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one. See you.